Good morning. My name is Pastor Lori Kochanski, and I am the assistant to the Bishop for Faith Formation. And it's so good to be with you this morning. We're not outside today because it's snowing here in Albany. What a way to start this Good Friday. Where I am sitting, though, is in front of this table. I've been using this table very much since I began physically distancing and spending time here in my home. And last night, as a ritual act, I cleared off this table. As I cleared it off, I was thinking of the origins of it. Believe it or not, this table here was my baby changing table. It was gifted to me by my parents when we moved into our first house. So I think of that. Good thing I must not have been a messy kid. I don't know. I do think of it sometimes, and I thought about it last night as I was clearing it off. I also thought about how much this space has become sacred. So it made sense that last night, as a bit of a personal ritual act, I cleared off this, what has become sacred space in this time and place. On it, I found notes to myself that reminded me how to keep going in the midst of all of this. I found a picture tucked underneath a book that I'd forgotten that I'd put there as sort of inspiration and remembering. I also had a candle there representing light and life and Jesus, God, present, and I moved that off. I have on it as well a dove that's in the shape of a wind chime that I would bump every once in a while, again reminding me of the spirit and presence. And there was yarn on there as well, yarn that I will eventually use to make something. So I cleared this sacred space off, and what I realized in the clearing was that it created an ability to notice the sacred spaces throughout my whole home. How we create these places and spaces to pay homage to the people who have gone before us, who we wish were with us right now. Oh, so many to name. I found myself sitting at the desk that was my grandmother's altar, really not her altar. Perhaps her altar if you thought her calling was to watch over the neighborhood through the window that was behind the desk. Or her calling was to write countless letters to Bic pens and Breyer's ice cream, always with a complaint so she could get something for free. Her desk, sacred space. Or perhaps my collection of teapots, which each have a story. Or the pictures on the windowsill that remind me again of loved ones and times and memories, sacred places and spaces. It was a good walking around the house last night thinking of how we create those, how important they are, but also how important in these days, this day, this holy day, to recognize that in those sacred spaces is also a thin place. What do I mean by a thin place? Certainly not any thinner from sitting at home. It has nothing to do with weight, at least not the weight of my body or your body, but it has to do with the world and how in certain days of my life, in particular Good Friday is one of them, that I could recognize those thin places. The thin places that help me to name why I have sacred spaces. The thin places where God meets us, where it seems like heaven and earth are just a bit closer. For me, Good Friday is a thin place. Clearing off my space has allowed room for me to recognize that, to be able to sit in that. Yes, I will probably build up a sacred space again come the Easter tide, Easter season. But for now, for today, I'm going to dwell in the emptiness of this space and how it calls me to recognize all the other spaces. Calls on me to go deeper into not just the places and things I can hold in my home, but go deeper into the sacred stories. how they all connect us to everything. The universal Christ, the one who gave his life. Thin place where heaven met earth, resulting in grace upon grace. So I invite you this day to notice the sacred spaces that you do create as a human, but then to walk away from the stuff and to clear the space so that you can let God speak into the midst of this new day, this holy day, this holy time. Thin places. So my blessing for you this day is the same as it is every day. Isn't that true, friends? When we capture a blessing, it becomes the same one then, the one we go back to. And this is the one I go back to in this time. It's a blessing on you, you who are listening, you who are learning, you who are yearning. My prayer, my blessing for you is that you notice in your day, in your life, all the ways that God is reaching from heaven to earth. The thin places where we are met, places that sometimes we can't get to unless we intentionally carve out space through prayer, through worship, through reading, through napping, through knitting, through weaving, through creating, through dreaming. So that's my prayer, my blessing this day, is that you find God, that you rest, that you wonder, that you get curious, that you pay attention. So blessings on this holy day and the holy days to come, for each day is holy as we are held. Amen.